that in many ways his 895 is more impressive in some ways than Gretzky's 894 in that, and I know they did it in the same number of games. I went and looked back. There was basically a goal per game being scored more in that Gretzky generation than there was in this one. I know look, Gretzky's the greatest of all time when we talk about hockey players, the points total, all of that. How do you take these accomplishments and put them side by side?
Well, a couple of things. It's a bit of a misnomer that they did it in the same amount of games. I know a lot of people put that out there. Gretzky actually scored his 894 7 games earlier than Ovechkin did. They wound up, at this point, they've played the same number of games, but Gretzky actually didn't score over his last 8 games, so he got there a little quicker. So many thoughts on the subject. Gretzky still has more assists than anyone else has points. So I don't think that record will ever be broken. Wasn't sure the goals record would ever be broken. An interesting perspective yesterday in chatting with Patrick Waugh, the Islanders head coach. He at one time held the record for wins by a goaltender. He broke Terry Sawchuk's record, and then Marty Brodeur broke Waugh's record. So it was interesting to hear from Waugh about what was going through his mind during the chase for the wins record. But the other thing is Gretzky probably could have scored 200 to 300 goals more than he did if he wanted to. He was such a great passer. You can't take either accomplishment away from either player. Wayne Gretzky was so gracious yesterday and all throughout the week and the months leading up to it. We saw him in the locker room after the game on Friday, on the ice, giving his speech yesterday, and then in the locker room after the game, and talked a lot about Gordie Howe and the reverence that he had for Mr. Hockey and, what it was like. We asked him when we had Wayne in the booth yesterday, what was going through your mind today? Were you thinking back to that day when you broke Gordie Howe's record in 1994? And, how about the symmetry? Gordie Howe held the record for 31 years, 1963 through 94.
Amazing.
Gretzky held the record for 31 years. So we were joking, who's going to break it in 2056?
I only have 10 seconds. If they win a Stanley Cup, do you think he retires or does he play it out next year with one more year left on his deal?
Great question. I wouldn't profess to even try to guess the answer to that question. Does have one more year on the deal. Does he want to get to 900? He's at 895 right now. What if he doesn't get to 900 before the end of this season?